Yeah.
where this, we can touch on some of the larger scandals that have happened over the years, but this is basically, there has been a lot of the community that has been rife with professional players or notable personalities doing sexual messaging at the minimum with minors. And this spilled over into League of Legends with Sky Williams. If you guys are LoL fans, you might remember this. And we'll start there because that was the one that kind of breached containment into other esports, because Sky was a content creator within the League of Legends space as well, but was known in the Smash community. And I'll let technicals handle this, but he basically for years was operating a gaming house, and he was actively grifting in that he had a pretty big YouTube, but he was borrowing money from people to fund an extremely lavish lifestyle in which other members of the Smash community would live with him in this house, and then he would allegedly, make sexual advances on them or use it sexually to get leverage. Meanwhile, he was just grifting everybody in the community. Famously, LS lent him significant amounts of money, and he paid back very little of it until his Ponzi scheme came crashing down. But it was kind of a wild thing. What's your take on the Sky Williams house technicals?
Yeah, so if you grew up looking up to Smash players or in the Smash scene, it was kind of like a mythos. It was like the pantheon. You're like, oh, the Sky House. That's where people went, like a hyperbolic time chamber, to go get their level up, go practice with the best, and if you were lucky enough, you would be staying there with those people. Little did we know, you get a bunch of gamers that only play video games in-house. It's fucking disgusting. There was plenty of substance abuse problems, a lot of underage drinking. And the main controversy from the Sky House thing was the fact that there were allegations of people in and around that house that then ended up getting all the blame was pinned on Sky, which I don't necessarily think that is fair to Sky, because it's not like he could be aware of everything they're doing at all times. But there should have been a more responsible culture in place. And I think enabling them to live that kind of lavish lifestyle, like you were saying, by funding it all himself through his YouTube channel, and also by getting loans from other people. It was
it was basically the rest of the non-Smash esports community funding him. He was going outside into, he was basically wetting his beak in the money from other esports scenes, his connections through individuals. He was a very charismatic, nice guy.
He's quite a big content creator in League as well early on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So they could get hundreds of thousands of views. Yeah,
he had plenty of money because his vlogs were popping off. So,
but he stopped making them. But that's true at first. But he stopped making them, and then what he did, I know, because he tried to grift me, dude. I know, because he was saying I'm gonna start streaming again. I'm gonna start my YouTube again. This is what he tried. He's like, hey Monte, can you lend me some money? I'm gonna do I've got these YouTube videos. I'm making a YouTube studio. I'm gonna start doing this again. So he made it seem to people like he was going to do this, but he never did these things. He just took the money and then never did the things.
I knew Sky pretty well, and we even hung out in Vegas when I was living out in Vegas. I don't even know where that puts me. This might be like a self-report, like hanging out with fucking Epstein or something after the first conviction.
I would not compare him to Epstein.
I'm not comparing him to Epstein. I'm not doing that neither. I'm just making a point of I still went and had drinks with him. I don't know if this was going on at the time. There was a lot of signal noise around the Sky House and what was going on, and I just knew Sky from League, and we went out and we had some drinks and stuff, and we used to hang out. But I mean, I also knew he was a crazy motherfucker. And I also knew he was in financial trouble. And I knew, I don't know how the fuck he got in so deep. I don't know what his proclivity was or his addiction was or anything like that. But he was just hemorrhaging cash. I mean, he hit everyone up in the scene.
Was there ever a total number? Didn't people imply it was like hundreds of thousands or something?
It was hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes.
Yeah, it's got to be a crazy amount of debt. And it's like, I don't understand how he could have ever got there. This was a big mainstream YouTuber that was bizarrely liked by Riot as well. Usually external people, they don't like so much. He could have had a ton of opportunities across multiple things. Also, remember, he framed himself as being he wanted to be a stand-up comedian kind of guy, which, we talked about all the time. And then obviously it was when I started hearing about the stuff that went in the house, because it was our colleague, Jacob Wolf, did the definitive report on him, and that was after I left Vegas. That would have been 2020, 21, round about then. And then when I heard about all the stuff that was going on in the house, it wasn't just a guy had a bunch of people living with him, and then they like took over the house, and then he couldn't get rid of them, and then they were like costing him money, and he was freaking out, and he didn't know what to do. That was kind of how it was always framed to me. What I heard about afterwards was, he was there was like rumors that he was taking people's like some of their paycheck. There was fucking abuse allegations from under the roof. There was like just all sorts of fucked up shit going on in one place.
Well, one of the main things that people were highlighting was the fact that he was like, "Hey, you need to pay rent like at this time, or I'm going to go into your room and break X item." Shit like that.
Yeah.
That was fucked up.
Yeah.
But also, I can imagine how stressful the situation is when you're in a situation where you're funding other people's dreams. They're wasting your time and money. There's no yield because there's no money in the community. So you realize that the dream that you're building up isn't actually profitable. And then at a certain point, it seems like a sunk cost fallacy where he just kept throwing more money at it, hoping that it would fix itself, hoping that there would be some return for his investment, when really there was nothing there to begin with. So I could see how that would turn to chaos pretty easily.
I just hated the Team House era across all of esports in general anyway. I don't think it's appropriate. I never really did, because people wanted to like get into, when you were doing like LCS, for example, or any of these California-based projects, if you wanted to pay for a property for each of your players, it was so exorbitant to just live in that state. And that was a demand from Riot.
Even like content houses.
Exactly.
It seems like a massive waste of money.
I've never liked even back in the day when they were just content houses, because there's no safeguards in place for any of the people there. I mean, you've got a bunch of young, under-socialized people, some of them famous, making a lot of money, and they're all just living in like, say, it's like you might even have two people in a room, like you're going back to like fucking school days or something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was really crazy, and I hated all of that stuff. I'm glad we moved away from it. But the sky houses it was essentially just that model, except I don't know what they didn't seem to make content. There wasn't like a 24-hour live stream.
There was a few of them that started to make content. So Mewtwo King and Zero were
Zero
kind of the real.
Mewtwo King were the two big.
They were the real ones that actually made content. The other ones were just trying to, become the best of the best, to get hopefully signed by like a tier 1 organization.
Why would you go to Sky Williams? Like, why is he the fucking Yoda of Smash? Like, why do I go?
I think it's just because he had the most money. He seemed like the epicenter.
Right. Yeah. He was definitely faking that shit.
Sure, but it's also, if you don't have any money and it's a grassroots community, it's a place that you can actually live for free or for lower cost.
He's going to pay your rent, and then he already has top players living there, so you can train. Like, that's the dream for a Smash player. I don't have to pay rent, and I can play Smash all day. Sign me up.
So there.
But with that,
go.
Where are you saying?
Go.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, for that investigation, I actually got all of Sky Williams' Facebook chat logs, so I could cross-reference some of the things that people were saying, because there were some falsehoods that were thrown in there.
Okay.
Especially from Jisoo, that became a pretty contentious point, and she ended up deleting that document that was like 64 pages long or whatever. So there were opportunistic allegations mixed in with the very valid ones, like how he probably was not a very good landlord. There was some abuse mixed in there. And the whole structure of it was just terrible in general, and he was financially irresponsible. And I feel like
he was subletting anyway, right? I mean, like, learn a fucking life lesson on this one, guys. Like, if he doesn't own the property and he's like leasing it out to you via a subletting thing, you've got no rights, essentially. You've only got the rights given to you under the law. There's no explicit contract rights because you haven't entered into a contract with this guy. So, I mean, just another fucking just immaturity across the board from everybody.
Absolutely. I just wish he would lock in, get back to uploading content, and hopefully get on the path to paying back people who you need to pay back.
Was it just financial stuff, or was it ever implied there was any like bizarre sexual element? Was that actually something that was implied?
I don't think he ever did anything sexual to people in the house. It was the fact that there was multiple people in the house who had sexual allegations, and they're like, this dude fucking facilitated all of it. It's like, well, that's not necessarily true, but it is an irresponsible and bad environment.
Right.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.